Today's show is brought to you by betonline.ag. Go to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. Use the promo code CLNS50 for a 50% bonus on your next deposit. Welcome to another edition of the Good and Plenty Podcast. I'm your host, Jeff Goodman, and we've got a great show for you today. None other than the hottest coach in the country in the college ranks on the recruiting trail, and that is not Mike Krzyzewski. It is not John Calipari. It is Penny Hardaway. Yeah, that Penny Hardaway. Remember to subscribe to the Good and Plenty Podcast. You can do that wherever you listen to your podcast. iTunes, Stitcher. You can find me at CLNS Media. You can find me at Watch Stadium. Also on Twitter at Goodman Hoops. And again, we come at you. Try to do it twice a week. It might be once a week, but it'll generally be every Tuesday. And it could be an NBA a crossover guy like Penny Hardaway here. Could be a college guy, and we'll get to maybe even some AAU high school stuff as we get into July. But let's get to it. The hottest coach in college basketball right now. I didn't know if I'd say that on the recruiting trail ever, Penny Hardaway, and certainly not this quickly. How does it feel to be hotter than Kay, hotter than Calipari, hotter than all of them right now?
That's kind of weird because I have so much respect for those coaches and what they've done for the game. I'm a basketball historian. I love the game. And to even be mentioned in the same breath as those guys is almost surreal to me because I've always looked up to those guys. And now to be able to recruit this class gives me joy because of, it makes my city happy. It gets the team better, and it puts us in a position to do some special things.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I think a lot of people felt like you'd have a shot at James Wiseman, combination with your name, what you've done in Memphis, and obviously coaching him in high school and AAU ball. How much did getting him help all these other guys and kind of giving you the credibility on the recruiting trail by landing the number one player?
Oh, it was major. To be able to play with a kid like James Wiseman is very enticing to a lot of kids. Even though me and my staff had to still work extra hard because James wasn't just enough. We had to convince them that we were able to do the things that we were supposed to. But at the end of the day, James Wiseman is a kid that everybody wants to play with. He's very easy to play with. Yeah. He's unselfish, and he just wants to win. So he made it easier for us for sure.
Yeah, he's almost like too nice a kid in a way, isn't he, in terms of too unselfish. Is that the biggest thing that you're going to kind of try to get out of him consistently is being mean, being ferocious every time he gets on the court?
Yeah, for sure. That's something that I really did when he first came from Nashville playing high school ball for me was I tried to get all of the niceness out. I said, you can be nice off the court, but on the court you have to be mean. And it took me a while, a lot of nights of him going home crying because I was so tough on him, but I wasn't going to shortchange him into what I knew that he could be. And I knew that he was going to have to be much tougher because he was so finesse when he first came to Memphis that we had to just put the toughness in him. So every single night I wanted him to go out there and play with the physicality that he needed to play with. And I knew people were going to try to beat him up. So, yes, he does need to be tougher. He's gotten way tougher than what he was. But and he has a mean streak, and that's basically what I wanted from him, and that's what I'm going to continue to do with him at Memphis.
So I want to know, what were you doing from when you retired, 2007 to 2015, when I think was the first year that you kind of got into volunteer coaching? I think you were like helping out with a middle school team. What were you doing those years?
Yeah, when I first got home in 2008, I was really didn't know if I was really ready to retire. I had just gotten cut from the Miami Heat. So I was kind of licking my wounds because I felt like I was doing pretty decent, but I understood how the league worked. They wanted to go ahead and trade everybody and release people so that they can try to get the top pick in the draft. They ended up getting Michael Beasley in that draft. They wanted Derrick Rose and didn't. So me coming home, I was coming home just to relax and to be with my family and basically just kind of get the feel of what was going on in the city again. And I had a childhood friend that was coaching at Leicester Middle School was just gotten terribly ill all of a sudden and went to the hospital and got diagnosed with colon cancer, stage 4 colon cancer. And he asked me to help him coach the middle school team, and that's where it started, with that middle school team.
So would you have potentially never even thought about coaching? Because most guys, let's face it, most guys that have the type of playing career you have and have the money you have in the bank are like, I don't really want to grind it on the recruiting trail and coach college basketball. Was that the start of it, where you got kind of the itch to want to help kids? And I mean, because you were different. You coached high school and AAU when most guys aren't on the sidelines every game like you were in the summer.
Yeah, it was. I wasn't ready to coach. I just did it as a favor, and once I did it, the team that I had came encounter with to help him coach was very special. Had a very special group of kids, and I was like, wow. I didn't go into the typical inner city middle school where you gotta teach a lot, didn't have the talent, win 1 or 2 games. I walked right into like a group of kids that were like special, talented kids. I figured if I stayed with them, they could go to college, and they kind of got my juices flowing just dealing with that special group of kids.
All right, so can we go back? I got to get, and I know tons of people probably ask you this, give me your best Shaq story from back in the day when you guys played together. What was your, like, I mean, I've obviously been around him a decent amount, but like, give me your best story, your funniest story, or maybe something that would just show the other side of him.
Shaq is just a comedian. The same guy that you see on TNT is who he is. He loves to have fun. He's just a big kid. I can remember days getting off the plane in Boston, and it was a blizzard outside, and he made all of the rookies take their jackets and their shirts off, and he just wrestled them in the snow. He had his coat on, and he made them take their jackets and shirts off, and they had no shirt, no nothing on, just bare chest, and he started wrestling with them in the snow.
I did an interview. I did an interview with him a few years ago, Penny, and he got me in a headlock in the middle of the interview.
He's just a big kid, man. And I remember Brooks Thompson, rest in peace to Brooks. He put powder and all kinds of Flexol and all kinds of stuff in Brooks' speakers. And then he had Brooks to go into the shower with his full uniform on and take a shower. He would do stuff like that all the time because he was just a big jokester. And the guy took it, but he also took care of them too.
Yeah.
When he shamed them or harassed them, he'd also would do it on the flip end. We'd take care of them or get them whatever they needed. So he did it both ways.
Give me somebody who stood up to him. Did anybody try to go toe to toe with him and say, like, I'm not taking this shit? Like, I'm gonna go at you?
Probably just Horace Grant, Scott Skiles, Horace Grant. Those guys, they tried to go toe to toe with Shaq.
Yeah, Skiles didn't seem like the type of guy to me that would have the sense of humor to deal with Shaq,
no.
Right?
No, Skiles was tough as nails.
Yeah, you could picture it. You were on the team that scrimmaged against the Dream Team, right?
Yes.
The one that beat the Dream Team, the one that like handed it to him in practice.
Yes.
Give me what are your recollections from that, and how did they handle that? Who was the sorest loser, on that group?
I think the sorest loser might have been Coach Daly. Rest in peace to Coach Daly. I think he probably was the sorest loser. I think that we shocked them. Obviously, these are grown men playing against kids, but we were talented kids. And once we got momentum. Like, I saw Coach K telling the story. Like, we had Michael Jordan on the sideline, and we had Magic on the sideline, and we had all these. But it was the Dream Team. It wasn't like you had scrubs on the floor. They're still Dream Team players. So the next day they smacked us up pretty good. Before that day, we shocked them, and they couldn't get a rhythm, and we didn't look back. And me and Grant Hill talk about that all the time. We're gonna relish in that for the rest of our lives. We're gonna say that, hey, we're the only team to beat the Dream Team.
What last year you went in and you were pretty funny, I thought, with some of your comments last season because you didn't take any shit. You were again, you weren't there. You knew you weren't there as a program, but you were talking like you were there at times, and I got a kick out of it. I think a lot of people did because you were talking trash whether it was to Rick Barnes and some other guys. How much of that was to just kind of set the tone for the future?
Well, that's who I am, so I was definitely setting the tone. I mean, even though I knew we weren't a championship team, I had to give the confidence to my guys that this is who we're going to be moving forward. And I knew that I was ruffling feathers with certain people by standing up for my team and doing that. I wasn't doing it intentionally. It was like I was just taking up for my team. It was like I knew that was like, hey, man, you haven't been in this game long enough. You haven't earned the right to even say anything. You know, just coach your team and stay in your place. I'm just a confident guy. I work my ass off. I do the things that I'm supposed to do. And one thing I'm going to do, I'm going to have my team's back 100%. No matter if I feel like in my heart that we can't do it, they'll never know that. I'll always root for them 100% and push as hard as I can.
You mentioned that you work your ass off. That's always the thing that we question as former NBA guys, you, Mike Miller, Sam Mitchell. You know, you guys have a lot of money in the bank. Your livelihood isn't necessarily at stake whether you succeed or fail at this. You know, I say the same thing about Chris Mullin, Patrick Ewing, Damon Stoudemire. The track record is not real healthy as far as former NBA players coming over and succeeding. Mullin, you know, from all indications, all sources, he didn't grind it. He didn't grind enough. What makes you different, or what makes you at a level that you are going to be on the phone every day recruiting and have that kind of desire to want to work all the time?
My past, the way that I came through the grassroots, the way that I did middle school first for 3 years, AAU for 8, and high school for 3. It just taught me the game of how to understand kids and how to deal with them and how to communicate with them, how to identify with them, what makes them tick, when to go at them, when not to. All of those things helped me when I got into college to already know that you just got to learn how to build relationships with kids. And that's what I did with everyone that I recruited. We built strong relationships, and I've never been above the work. I mean, I stay up to like 2 o'clock in the morning, 3 o'clock in the morning watching film, talking to kids late on the West Coast, talking to kids on the East Coast, whatever I need to do because I want to be successful, and you can't be successful being lazy. So I'm not obviously the stereotypical NBA player. If I would have came right from the NBA, I don't know where I would have been as a coach because I can't say. That's very tough to do. It's tough because you have to be dedicated. You got to grind. You got to go see kids. You got to get on the phone. You got to call multiple people all the time for just one kid. And you got to be all in. You got to be all in.
Yeah, there's no doubt. I mean, if you're not, it's hard to succeed. I tell people, even if you had gotten the Memphis job 2 years earlier when Tubby got it, do you think you would have this recruiting class or anything close to it right now?
You know, the only reason why I can say I would have been close to it or even had the same is because of the relationships that I built in AAU and the kids that played for me in AAU. I felt like I would have had those kids loved playing for me, and they would have come to college and played for me, kind of how what James is doing right now. I think I had the relationships built with all of those kids that are actually going in the draft this year, at least 4 or 5 of them, and then last year 2 or 3, that I would have had an opportunity. I wouldn't have been ready for it mentally to do it like I am now, but I think I could have gotten the parents that came to play for me in AAU to believe in me and come to college for a year or 2 or whatever. I really feel that with the relationship that I built.
How many of the kids these days know who you were? Like, because again, I mean, when you were at your peak, a lot of these kids were in diapers, weren't they? I mean, they got to be close.
Absolutely.
Do you play your highlight film?
I only play it. Most of these guys play it, or I played it. You know, like when you're doing recruiting, and you watch a film of something or whatever, and you show the film of yourself or whatever. But other than that, I think YouTube does me a lot of justice for guys to kind of see who I am and what I've been, and that's the beauty of YouTube. You can always go and see. My game isn't in black and white. I mean, I'm still they can still identify with the stuff that I did in the league, even though like the last time was really my greatest years was from 99 94 to 2000.
None of these kids were alive.
Kids were like,
right, none of them were alive.
Right. So that's the thing.
See, I can picture you showing up at a home penny and getting ready to pop in something, on your iPad or whatever, and all of a sudden it's a Mike Miller highlight film instead. He popped it in and changed it, and it's just him draining threes.
Yeah, for sure. I have a pretty impressive group of guys, and not only are they impressive from what they did professionally, they grind.
Yeah.
And that's the beauty of it. Mike is a grinder. Mike understands what the label is and what the stereotype is of pros, that they don't want to do anything and that we're lazy and that we feel like things are just going to fall into our lap. So we go the opposite. We do the total opposite of what people really believe. We grind. We do the extra. We go the extra mile. We let the kids know. And any of these kids that we've recruited will tell you countless hours on the phone, making sure that we've done everything that we could do to get there, to gain their trust from us. And like you said, even up until, showing Mike Miller or showing myself or anything of that nature.
Quick break to tell you today's show is brought to you by betonline.ag. NBA playoffs in the conference finals, only 4 teams left, which means you have a 1-in-4 shot of picking the correct NBA championship. Why not dabble a bit? Here are the odds. The Warriors are minus 190, Bucks plus 200, Raptors are plus 1,800. I'm still going with Golden State here. I'm not stupid. I'm gonna ride Steph and Clay and Draymond, and whether KD gets back or not. I don't think it really matters at the end of the day. I still think Golden State wins this thing. Make sure you go to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. Get a 50% bonus when you sign up and use the promo code CLNS50. Don't be left on the sideline with all this excitement going on in the court. Plus, you can play in BetOnline's virtual casino, make some money there too. You always have futures bets, Major League Baseball in full swing, NFL futures already out, NHL playoffs too. There's a lot going on in the sports world right now. Whatever you do, make sure you use betonline.ag. Use the promo code CLNS50 for a 50% bonus in your first deposit. Or just go to clnsmedia.com/Goodman. So the last few years, the teams that have cut down the nets have been veteran teams for the most part. Villanova twice, Carolina, Virginia this year, obviously. You've got a young team for the most part coming in. How do you try to get these kids to grow up quick, to, try to get a leader out of this group? Because, frankly, your most talented players are almost all going to be freshmen.
Yeah, I think the one thing that I've encouraged, and they've been doing this for a while now, but they have a huge group chat amongst each other. They're already getting to know one another. They're already talking about sacrifice. They're already talking about it might not be your night offensively, but what else can we do? Those are the things as a coach that you love, because now they're coming in, and that's all you need them to do. A young team, you really have the problems because every young kid wants to be the star. Every young kid wants to be the man. And when you get a bunch of freshmen, you start having competitive days on the court between these guys, and somebody's always going to be angry, or somebody's always going to be mad, or even furthermore than that, the youth of not knowing the game comes into play. But when you have these guys being a cohesive unit, along with what our staff can do, it gives us a better chance than just having a normal freshman team that doesn't know a lot about the game and needs more experience here to beat this team or that team. So hopefully the chemistry overrides the youth, and the leaders will emerge from this group chat, and everybody will sacrifice for the entire year, and that will bode well for us moving forward as a coaching staff. We'll be able to teach whatever we need to teach, and everybody will be all in.
What's the latest with the Tucker kid, the transfer from Little Rock? I'd heard that there's a chance that he might not end up at Memphis. Obviously, a veteran who put up big numbers. What's the latest with him?
I really can't speak on Ray John because he's only committed, but he's still in the NBA draft as of right now.
Okay. So, I mean, the plan, the hope is to have him, but right now you just don't know.
Yeah, I just don't know.
Okay, got it. Do you want to be, is this something where you kind of welcome the high expectations and you want to be ranked as damn high as you can in the preseason next year, or are you going to go the other way and temper them a little bit?
No. We want the target on our back. We really do. That's how I've been my whole entire life. But to make it to the league, you have to have that in you. You got to want to be the guy. I like being hunted. I've been the hunter before, but I like being the hunted. I like that target on my back. I like for people to put the pressure on me and say what I can't do, because that's been my whole entire life, and I've proven people wrong my entire life. So I think my entire staff feels that way. We want to be in the talks every night. You know, it gives our school the publicity that we need. It gives our kids the exposure that they need and want, and it helps our staff moving forward as well. So we want to be in that position. It's much better being talked about every night as one of the best versus not being talked about at all.
Do you have some big boy games on the schedule next year as far as non-conference? You know, like I assume you want to play everybody.
I really do. And I did that this year, and I was 0-6. I did that this year knowing that I didn't have the team, but I wanted to get my guys an opportunity to get some exposure to play against the best and measure ourselves. That's how I've always been. But, yeah, I mean, we got at Oregon in the PK Invitational. We're playing Oregon. We got North Carolina State in Brooklyn. We got Ole Miss at home. We got Georgia at home. We're at Tennessee. You know, so we got some really tough non-conference games early, just like we did this past season.
Have you called Calipari yet? See if he'll play a series or a game?
Cal and I have talked. We've only teetered around with a Nashville. We haven't done home and home yet, but we've talked about Nashville, and I'm pretty sure that he and I could come to an agreement about Nashville really soon, almost as early as next year.
Yeah, I don't think he wants to come back to Memphis.
No, I don't think he wants to either. But I mean, I'm not in the business of trying to make Cal look bad.
Yeah.
I'm a Cal fan.
You want a good game?
What he did for our school. Yeah, and I know the fans were hurt, and when you get hurt, you feel a certain way. But Cal, I want the best for them, and I want the best for us, and we're moving forward.
Hey, what were you thinking watching the whole FBI, the college corruption trials and everything like that? I know. Did you have visions back to blue chips at all?
You know what? Actually, I didn't. It's just weird that it correlates together, it works hand in hand about that movie Blue Chips and what's going on nowadays. It was just really shocking to me that the FBI got as involved as they did with this whole entire thing, and that guys were actually going to jail over getting kids money or whatever to go to their schools. I mean, that was really wild.
Well, I think the wild thing, Penny, and I've said this plenty, is that all the guys who have lost their jobs here, for the most part, are black assistant coaches. And the white head coaches are just fine. And it is ridiculous. I mean, it is. And I know a lot of people are scared to talk about it. I assume you are probably not one of them.
Well, no, I mean, I'm going to be one of those guys because I'm just not going to fly off the hat about it. I just think that it's a really unfortunate situation, and that I don't know, what they're trying to accomplish with this, because there's a lot going on, and I just don't want the kids to get lost in the translation of all of this, because to me, the kids are supposed to be the ones that are protected throughout this entire thing.
Your favorite NBA player to watch right now is who? And why?
Wow. I would say my favorite NBA player to watch right now it's a tie between Giannis and Steph. Giannis because of how he uses his length. He uses his length so well. And Steph, the way that he moves without the ball and how relentless he is, and how when you cut him off this way, that he figures out another way, and then another way, and then another way, and it's great to watch.
Give me one more thing before I let you go here. Give me the quick, can be a Cliff Notes version scout of the guys you got coming in next year, so that people kind of know James Wiseman, and if you got a comparison for him, throw it out there. I don't know how good you are at the comparison game.
Well, I would say James Wiseman would be more like a Chris Bosh. If he could do half of what Chris Bosh has done in his career, he'd be awesome.
Yep.
But he can shoot it outside. Maybe not as well as Chris, but hopefully we'll get him to that point. But everything else he can do it at the same as Chris at the age that he's at right now. Damian Ball is, man, he's a mixture of Rondo and kind of like almost like a bigger Rondo. And again, these are superstars in the NBA, but at this age,
yep.
Damian Ball's a defender, distributor, energy player, has a nice IQ. Lester Quinones it's like a miniature Clay.
Really? He shoots it that well.
He shoots it that well. He's a guy that's not afraid. He's a guy that can guard. And, you know, that's what Clay is known for, that he can guard, and then he can just shoot it crazy. Boogie Ellis is almost a mixture of Jason Williams, white chocolate Jason Williams, and maybe a Lou Williams. You know, he's got that scoring ability, and he can dime it. And I think that's what he really wants to prove to people, that he can play the point, because he's shown people that he can score it. But he has that mixture in him. Precious Achiuwa, I guess you can talk about like maybe Gordon in Orlando, athletic enough, inside outside like a Mo Harkless, a guy that can defend anybody, elite defender, but also can shoot it outside and can shoot it on the inside. I mean, can post up on the inside, and it's just a transition guy, getting up and down that floor. Aaron Gordon type of player.
DJ?
Who else? Malcolm. DJ Jeffries is kind of it's a miniature version of KD to me. Like he really is. If he just develops his jump shot, he's a miniature version of Kevin Durant to me. He's athletic, he's fast, he's explosive, he has good enough handles, and he can't shoot it as deep as KD, but he reminds me of a Kevin Durant type player. Who else are we missing? Malcolm Dandridge is more of kind of a Dwight Howard type player, shot blocker, rebounder, lob catcher, finisher at the rim. He's kind of a mixture of Dwight Howard and probably I would just say Dwight Howard for sure.
That's pretty good. That's a pretty good class. We won't get you to do Tucker since you can't. But that. Yeah,
no, I can't.
I mean,
if we could get those guys to play like the guys that I said that they remind me of, then we'll be okay.
Hey, this thing's a wrap. We don't even need to play the season. If you got Clay, Bosh, Rondo, Aaron Gordon, KD, and Dwight Howard, you're good. Yeah. Although I don't know.
Yeah, no doubt.
Dwight Howard and Rondo, I'm not sure they could coexist well together. Well, listen, I appreciate you taking a few. I really do. Like I said, I can't believe what you've done in such a short period of time on the recruiting trail. It sounds like you even can't, to some extent, that you are in the same context right now of Calipari, Coach K, and able to fight those guys. But I think a lot of credit to you, and I saw it. I mean, I saw when you're out there at every AAU game. And I think that's what separates you. When people want to throw you in the same class as a lot of the other NBA guys that have come over, you did your time. You did your time. You worked it on the circuit, and I think that's what separates you.
Yeah, and I thank you. And I'll only say this: the momentum was just so massive with James getting in group text with kids, with me and Mike working, and Tony and Sam working our butts off. It just all kind of, the momentum was kind of what happened with Duke last year when Zion and RJ and Cam and all decided to go with Trey to Duke. They kind of recruited each other, and Coach K was big in that, but they kind of recruited each other. So that momentum of those guys wanting to play with each other and coming to that conclusion, that's what really happened. So that helped me out as well, but we did put in the work.
Well, now you got to put in, the work and get the number one recruiting class in 2020 also, right? You got to do it every year now. That's the problem. When you do it quick like this. You have to repeat it. Yeah, you got to repeat it.
You have to repeat it. You really do. But we look forward to that because we're going to be working.
Well, listen, appreciate it. I will see you on the recruiting trail probably in the late June or early July.
Okay, thanks so much, Jeff.
All right, you got it, Penny. Thanks, man.
All right, thanks. Bye.
Hey, sports fans. I'm Coach Nick of the B-Ball Breakdown podcast on the CLNS Media Network. I break down the NBA from a coach's perspective and have some of the best basketball minds join me weekly to discuss the latest NBA news and what's truly going on the court. Subscribe to the B-Ball Breakdown podcast wherever you get your podcasts or find us on clnsmedia.com. It's a great conversation. You in?